Breaking, the FIA has just ruled Hamilton's car illegal after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Let that sink in. The seven-time world champion is under fire again. Ferrari's SF25 failed crucial post-race checks. The same car that climbed heroically through the field is now facing a full race disqualification. And no one saw it coming. This isn't just about losing points. This could erase Hamilton's final shot at glory, with Ferrari tarnishing his legacy and sending shockwaves across the F1 world. This is not a rumor. This is official. So hit subscribe right now, because we're about to uncover everything the FIA just exposed and what it means for Hamilton's future in Formula One. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix was supposed to be Ferrari's final statement in a long and bruising season. With Lewis Hamilton starting 16th on the grid and pulling off a heroic recovery to 8th, it looked like a symbolic win, proof that the SF25 still had fight left in it. But as the sun set behind Yas Marina, a darker story was unfolding behind the paddock gates. Post-race scrutineering had flagged something serious. And as of late Sunday evening, the FIA confirmed what no Ferrari fan wanted to hear. Hamilton's car had failed technical inspection. The violation centers on plank wear, one of the most basic and unforgiving measurements in Formula One. Beneath every F1 car lies a titanium-reinforced wooden plank designed to limit how low teams can run their chassis. Excessive wear means one thing: the car rode too low. And in F1, too low equals illegal. The FIA's measuring tools found Hamilton's plank had worn below the minimum legal thickness, suggesting the Ferrari was running below permitted ride height, gaining potential downforce advantage through the twisty middle sector. While teams are given some flexibility in suspension settings to adapt to track conditions, they are not allowed to violate this core regulation. Ferrari initially argued that the wear came from Hamilton riding aggressive curbs in Sector 3, but the FIA wasn't convinced. They ran comparisons against teammate Charles Leclerc's car, which passed inspection, and found that the wear pattern on Hamilton's SF25 did not match the normal degradation curve. In other words, it didn't look like damage. It looked like a setup. This isn't the first time a car has failed on plank wear, but it's rare to see such a breach in a high-stakes season finale, especially involving a driver of Hamilton's profile. Fans were stunned, Ferrari's leadership was blindsided, and Hamilton himself hasn't commented, not yet. What complicates things further is that Hamilton's engineer had been warning about floor stability and porpoising throughout the race. Those radio messages are now under review, not because they suggest intent, but because they may confirm that Ferrari knew the car was riding too low in real time. Technically, this is a slam dunk for the FIA. The rule is binary: you're either within the tolerance or you're not. Intent doesn't matter. Teams have been disqualified in the past for similar violations, including Lewis Hamilton himself in 2021 when his DRS flap failed to meet spacing regulations. So there's precedent, and it's ruthless. The FIA's official wording described the infraction as a non-compliant floor assembly and stated the car was not in conformity with Article 3.5.9(e) of the 2025 technical regulations. As for the consequences, they could not be more severe. The standard penalty for this kind of breach is exclusion from the race results. That means Hamilton would lose his 8th place finish, and Ferrari would forfeit the valuable constructor points that come with it, points that were vital in their fight against Aston Martin for 3rd in the standings. More importantly, it throws a shadow over the entire weekend. If this was Hamilton's final race in Ferrari red, which some insiders believe it could end in controversy, not celebration. The F1 world now watches and waits. Ferrari is expected to appeal, though success is unlikely. The FIA rarely overturns a technical infraction of this kind. Engineers across the grid are revisiting their own telemetry to ensure they're in compliance, knowing that post-race scrutiny just got even tighter. And Hamilton fans, millions of them across the globe, are left stunned. Their driver fought his heart out in the final race of the year, and yet it's a sheet of wood under the car that may erase it all. Inside Ferrari's post-race debrief, the tone shifted from cautious optimism to sheer disbelief in minutes. Engineers had been celebrating a gritty drive from Hamilton, one that showcased resilience, tire management, and race aircraft, all without the help of DRS advantage or track position. But that feeling collapsed as soon as the FIA published its post-race bulletin. The moment the words nonconformity with Article 3.5.9(e) hit the paddock, everyone at Ferrari knew what that meant. They were in deep trouble, and no protest was going to erase the measurement data. Ferrari's biggest problem now is not just the loss of points, it's reputation. For a team that entered 2025 promising a return to purity, discipline, and competitive integrity, this scandal stings deeply. Just weeks earlier, Frederic Vasseur had spoken publicly about restoring Ferrari's honor after years of strategic blunders and political chaos. Now, one of the most celebrated drivers of all time is facing disqualification while wearing their red overalls. It's a public relations nightmare, and rival teams are wasting no time in using it as leverage in the media narrative. The timing could not be worse. This was likely Hamilton's final appearance for Ferrari. While nothing has been confirmed, strong rumors suggest Lewis was only on a 2-year contract with performance clauses, and his frustration has been visible all season. A disqualification in his last race would taint the storybook ending everyone hoped for. Instead of a farewell drive filled with pride, we're left with images of a champion walking quietly out of Parc Ferme, unaware that the very floor beneath him might cost him everything. From a sporting standpoint, the implications ripple far beyond Ferrari. Aston Martin, who were battling Ferrari in the constructor standings, now stand to gain critical points. McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes are also watching closely not just for point gains, but to study the FIA's threshold for enforcement. If Hamilton's car is excluded over millimeters of wear, it sends a message: there will be no forgiveness. Teams must now rethink every setup approach on bumpy, high-degradation tracks like Abu Dhabi. For the fans, it's a gut punch. Lewis Hamilton had clawed his way back into the spotlight with a dogged drive through the midfield, showing that even in a tough car, his instincts and control are second to none. Social media lit up with praise, with former drivers calling it one of his cleanest drives in recent memory. But now all of that glory is threatened by a single plank measurement, one that most viewers will never see, but which the FIA treats as sacred. Hamilton himself has remained silent, but sources inside his camp say he is deeply frustrated and emotionally exhausted. After so many years in the sport, to see a race stripped by a technicality, however justified, is a harsh reminder of how brutal F1 can be. And unlike in 2021, this isn't about rules being bent in real time. This is black and white. You pass or you fail. And right now, Ferrari's car has failed. The final blow may not come from the FIA, but from within. Ferrari must now explain to sponsors, fans, and the press how they let this happen. Was it an engineering miscalculation? A suspension setting too soft? Or a desperation move to chase performance at all costs? Whatever the cause, the result is the same. Lewis Hamilton, one of the greatest drivers of all time, may see his final race with Ferrari erased from the record books not because of something he did, but because of what was hiding underneath his car. The moment the FIA bulletin was posted, the atmosphere in Ferrari's hospitality unit went cold. Journalists began crowding around team personnel, trying to get quotes, but the doors were shut tight. Internally, panic was setting in. Engineers and legal advisors were reviewing every millimeter of data, desperately looking for any anomaly that could justify what had happened. But the cold, clinical truth was already on paper. The floor plank had worn beyond the legal limit. This wasn't a procedural gray area. It was a direct violation, and the FIA had photographic proof. What made things worse was the timing. The paddock was still filled with team members, media, and VIPs celebrating the end of the season. Ferrari had organized a small farewell gathering for Hamilton, a discreet tribute to his final race in red. But halfway through, phones started buzzing with alerts about the FIA's findings. Conversations stopped. The mood flipped instantly. Hamilton, who had been quietly speaking with mechanics, was informed mid-sentence. He left the room without saying a word and did not return. That silence spoke louder than any team statement. For a driver who has made a career of defying odds and speaking truth to power, his decision to remain silent was chilling. Was it resignation? Anger? Betrayal? Sources close to him later revealed that he felt ambushed by the situation. He had driven clean, followed instructions, and brought the car home with no contact or drama. Yet now he was at the center of another FIA storm, one that this time had nothing to do with Racekraft and everything to do with how Ferrari set up his machine. Back at the FIA Control Center, scrutineers reviewed the data multiple times. They checked both Ferraris. Leclerc's car passed. Hamilton's did not. There was no ambiguity. This wasn't a software glitch or a misread sensor. It was physical, measurable, and undeniable. Some insiders said the wear pattern was concerningly consistent, implying that the car was likely running too low across multiple stints, not just after curb strikes or moments of contact. That detail effectively destroyed Ferrari's line of defense that the wear had been incidental or caused by track conditions. Meanwhile, team principal Frédéric Vasseur was under immense pressure. Cameras caught him pacing back and forth in the pit wall control area, talking rapidly on the phone, presumably with the FIA stewards and Ferrari's legal counsel. By the time he emerged to give a short statement, he looked visibly shaken. He admitted the infraction, but insisted it was not intentional. The exact quote was, "We respect the FIA's role, but we will examine every detail before accepting the final outcome." A diplomatic line, but far from a denial and nowhere near the defiance seen in other controversies this season. Elsewhere in the paddock, the response was a mixture of shock and cynicism. Some rival engineers admitted off record that Ferrari had been pushing the ride height envelope all weekend. You could see it visually on the replays, one said. That car was scraping more than anyone else through turn 9. Others were more blunt, suggesting that Ferrari knew exactly what they were doing and gambled on the FIA not checking. Regardless of intent, the fallout was now public, and the headlines were writing themselves. For Hamilton, this moment may mark the beginning of a difficult reckoning. He came to Ferrari for legacy, for redemption, and to make history. But now, in what may be his final appearance in Formula One, he is facing the possibility of having his name wiped off the final classification sheet not because of his driving, but because of what sat under the floor of his car. And in a sport that measures success in tenths of a second and millimeters of legality, that is perhaps the most brutal way to go out.